Having gained decades of experience in the equipment and systems sector, Peter as Baker Perkins is thriving under ownership of the Schenck Process Group. Neill Barston speaks to Keith Graham of the group about his latest starters depositing line debuted at this year's Pro Suites, as well as discussing the strong order pipeline for the company and also its resilience amid the pandemic in which it's continued without interruption.
Okay, so the first thing to say is we managed to keep the business going right through the pandemic. The factory operated at full capacity throughout it. Office staff were working from home in the early days, and we've now gradually got everyone back in the office on a hybrid working model, reflecting the changes in working patterns that have been driven by the pandemic, and that's been really good. But we did have to put a lot of measures in place to cope with with COVID, such as distancing, hand washing, masks, fogging areas if we believe that had been would have an infected person in the factory. But it all worked well. We didn't have any outbreaks, and most people who did contract COVID, and there were actually surprisingly few, they all realised early on and stayed away. So we haven't had any real disruptions, and thankfully most of the people who have contracted COVID have fully recovered. So it's been interesting and challenging, but I think we've come through it extremely well.
From our early discussions there, we were talking about the fact that the company has actually enjoyed a strong order book despite these challenges. Can you explain the situation there?
It has, and I don't think we are alone in that. We're seeing stories all the time about shortages and in materials and labour, and that's all being driven by a lot of investment. Clearly, there has been a post-COVID bounce in investment, and it's probably more than we would have seen if we hadn't had the pandemic. So it's been great. Lots of orders from all over the world across all of our sectors, and the challenge now is dealing with it. But that's a challenge we enjoy. It's been helped to a certain extent by new ownership, because they are very ambitious about growing the company. So the extra resources we need to execute these additional orders are available to us.
Touching upon the Schenck processing there, it seems as if there's some very strong synergies there between your business as regards that acquisition, and it seems to be going as smoothly as it can be from what you said earlier.
Very much so, yes. The Schenck, when they bought us, said they were buying three things: a business, a brand, Baker Perkins, and a factory. They saw the factory as a good opportunity to expand and bring work in from other parts of the Schenck group, things that they're currently having subcontracted, so they can keep the work within the group. They've also got a strategic initiative to expand their business in food. Now, Schenck Process isn't very well known in food, so buying a brand that is well known in food, such as Baker Perkins, was a good move from their perspective. And of course, they're buying a business as well, so a profitable, sustainable business that will deliver profits for them for the foreseeable future. But they are ambitious. They do want to grow the business, so they are encouraging us to invest in people, in new machine tools for the factory, and in R&D, new products, and developing our distribution as well. So across the board, they're very, very positive about the future as part of the Schenck Process Group, and see us very much as the centre of excellence for food in Europe and Asia.
And can you tell us what the response has been to your latest starchless depositing system has been?
We've seen the shift in the market towards nutraceuticals, towards gummies and jellies, and a lot of companies looking for medium output lines. And the main selling feature of our machine is it's starch free, so we don't have all of the cleaning and the starch handling equipment. So it's a cost-effective system to produce medium volumes of gummies and jellies. And there's clear demand for it in both the confectionery and the healthcare industry. So we're expecting a lot of interest.
It sounds as if there's some real momentum building up within the company in terms of what you're able to do here in the UK with your pilot plant facilities there. How critical are those facilities to your customers in terms of driving the next generation of products and machinery that you're developing?
They're vital. A lot of the companies that we deal with don't have facilities to do their own product and process development, particularly if it's a new sector they're moving into. So if we're talking to a nutraceutical company, for example, they may not have any gummy manufacturing capability at all. So we can bring them in here, develop the product, develop the process, then take away samples for testing, shelf life tests, and all that kind of thing, and really gain a lot of confidence that when their machine arrives and is installed, it will work and it will produce the product they want it to produce very quickly. And the same is true even of the large confectionery companies. You know, we can offer testing and development facilities here that if they don't have them already in the factory, they can't use a production line for doing these tests. It's just too big. So even people who are established in the industry do value the ability to come in here and develop the product, develop the process offline, away from a production environment, and be confident that what they're going to get will do the job they want. And the thing that gives them the most confidence is the people that they're working with. We've got all the equipment, but what really impresses them usually is the knowing that the people they're talking to in the lab are going to be responsible for specifying and testing their equipment in the factory, and if necessary, we'll go to site and commission it. So we'll build those relationships early on, and they do stand the customers in good stead throughout the project.
Strongly, can we expect further ranges of machinery from you in the coming months ahead? Are you planning more developments in the near future?
Yeah, very much so. There's more equipment to add to the range of equipment in the mid-range. Always looking at machines that will do other kinds of products. So extending the range of confectionery. So 3D jellies, for example, is something that we've introduced recently, and working with Rousselot on the gummy caps concept, which is a thin shell gummy with a liquid center filling. So things like that are always coming along. We're working on new concepts and new ideas all the time. So never a dull moment.